First off, I will try my best to keep this spoiler-free for those who haven't seen it yet, at least until I get to the main topic, but you'll get your warning. Second, I want to go over my thoughts about the movie itself before I address what the title promised. And third, well, I know I don't really cover movies here, but this is a very strong exception. I'm sure we all remember how we got here. They showed us this, and we said, "No!" Then they showed us this, and we said, "Will you be our Valentine?" Might I add, this was handled in one of the most professional, humble, and respectable ways we've seen in a long time. Other studios and directors could learn a huge lesson from this. So this was getting changed, but what about those poor animators who had to do everything all over again? They were given 3 extra months on top of the remaining months they still had. The internet and the fans basically went from mocking this to pre-ordering their tickets. I mean, hey, they listened, they respected us. Ergo, you earned my respect and my money. But would the movie be any good? Most video game movies have a reputation for trash of the meanest quality. I went into it thinking, the story and plot might be garbage, but I'm putting my money where my mouth is. With very low expectations, I walked away rather impressed. They've made a number of changes for Sonic and the Rings, but I'm not bothered by them. Mainly because they actually take the time to explain how they work, what they're used for, what their limitations are, or at least the gist of it. Sonic has this electric energy that actually isn't used by his speed. I paid attention to when it was used, and it seems to be used when he's frustrated and or angry. So basically Hulk, but instead of gamma ray transformation, it's Thor's thunder. Okay, I'll go with that. Also, as kind of hinted at in the trailers, the rings act as portals. Well, the original games did have giant rings that took you to bonus stages, so it's not a big stretch from that. Even Mania showed us a glimpse of that. They're explained how they work in the movies, so I'll let you hear that for yourself when you see it. The rings sadly become sort of a MacGuffin for the movie, while the rest of it follows the path of person discovers secret alien and agrees to help them on their journey. The plot is not very groundbreaking, but I went into it with the expectation that it'll suck, and ended up saying, they played it safe, but it worked, and I'd rather have that than a terrible story. I would give the plot a C. Been there, done that, but it's okay, and I wasn't expecting them to push the envelope. As many have been saying, the movie is a lot of fun, and they're not wrong. The actors seem like they were enjoying themselves, especially Jim Carrey, who thankfully didn't have to carry the whole movie on his back, as everyone played their parts pretty well. I think I might have set my expectations a bit too high to have him make me laugh all the time, but overall, he was solid, and I'm glad to hear that he would like to return for a sequel. Sonic himself, as expected, captures your attention throughout the whole movie, just as a main character should. Just saying, Sonic's redesign does not affect the story or plot, but there's no way he would have been as captivating and endearing if they stuck with that old one. Okay, maybe there's one part that might have changed slightly, and that's when that little bomb got stuck to his glove. The original didn't have a glove, so here I'm asking, why don't you just take the glove off? Who knows, maybe the gloves are on too tight, or when you panic you don't make logical decisions. So we have a likable main character, a likable antagonist, and the rest of the cast can stand on their own as well. There are plenty of Sonic meme jokes in the movie, as well as Easter eggs, and they are all organically done, which just makes them even easier to enjoy. Yes, there's the product placement joke of Olive Garden, but I just wanted to see it as a joke. I mean, I like Olive Garden, but the scene dragged on a bit too long there, so... ouch. I didn't think I would see it again, but I'm glad I went to see it, and I don't regret it at all. Funny thing is, after hearing so many people say how much they loved it and how excited everyone was, I kinda wanted to see it again, and if I get the chance, I just might. I don't trust Rotten Tomatoes, especially after last year, and the audience rating for this movie... I don't agree with it. I would actually put it at a 79 or so. I actually enjoyed this more than Detective Pikachu, but I looked at it in another light. Maybe that's not how much they enjoyed the movie. Maybe it's more of a customer satisfaction survey, and they're saying how happy they were with the service. In that sense, I definitely agree. Whoever was the critic that said, this movie tried to please everyone and pleases no one. Remember, your opinion is not fact. Here's where there might be some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, well, I'm trying not to go into great detail, but if you want to play it safe, you can stop watching the video here. I'll give you 5 seconds to stop the video and come back after you've seen the movie.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I have about 3 nitpicks with the movie. They don't hurt it too much, but I couldn't help thinking about them. But quickly I want to go over 3 points that I can only answer through headcanon. First one that I did kind of ask right away was when they get to San Francisco and Sonic runs to the building and then runs back, he says he needs special access to reach the top. He says that so Tom and his wife can still be in the scene with him, but the thing is, Sonic is fast enough to run up a building, so why did he need to go in the building to get there? I need to go back and rewatch the scene again, but if the building had that curve around it at the top, then it's possible that he could have run off of it like a ramp and fell off. If that's not the case, then yeah, this part doesn't make sense, but maybe he just wanted to see them off before he left. But even then, why not get them, then come back to say goodbye? I hope they answer that someday. The other one was, why does the other planet know about another planet that's supposedly on the other side of the galaxy? Yeah, you don't have to have been there to go there, but how do they even know about our planet in the first place? I want to ask that, but then again, how do they know how to talk without a school and in English? Sometimes it really is best not to question these things, and even then, that's never really explained in Sonic canon anyway, so I guess I can let that slide. Oh, for the record, I haven't really read the comics, but then again, I don't really consider them canon, so, yeah. And finally, how does Sonic move that fast without creating sonic booms every time? You know what, video game Sonic does that too, so no harm, no foul, I suppose. Now for the stuff that I can't help but ask. Tom, the guy helping Sonic, becomes a fugitive from the law, but besides the confrontation with his wife and her sister, it never really comes up in the movie again. The easiest thing you had to do was just have him in disguise, and that would have been enough. Sonic is apparently fast enough to dodge bullets and lasers, but couldn't avoid a tranquilizer dart? You could say that he was frozen in fear, but I'm not entirely sure I buy it. It was done so he couldn't escape, and Tom had to be guilt-tripped into helping him, basically a way to push the plot, but it's something that everyone is going to keep bringing up. Robotnik, aka Eggman, has a label that says Evil Lab, and I couldn't help but groan at that. Look, we know he's evil, but does he actually consider himself evil? He's not a nice guy, that's for sure, but couldn't it have said Mad Lab instead? Something about it just seemed off to me. You know, I don't think I've talked about a number of my favorite scenes from the movies, so let's take care of that real quick. The baseball scene was probably one of my favorite parts, just him being all crazy and doing all those different characters, and the one where he's just like playing with the flower. Yeah, that's me, where I would rather be playing with the grass that's on the field than paying attention to what's happening in right field. Also, that moment where he feels like he's really going to be alone really made me feel for him as a character. The part where Tom's, I think that's his niece, gives Sonic the Zillow shoes, yeah, it's product placement, but I really thought that was more of a charming scene because Sonic says, "No one's ever given me a gift before," and that just felt like a really touching moment, so I can forgive the product placement on that one. The scene where Sonic is trying to resist going into the sports bar, that definitely got a couple of laughs out of me. I like the way that Robotnik told us his backstory instead of getting like a bunch of flashbacks, and it was just done in a really natural kind of way. It was easy to tell how he got to be the person he was today. The banter between Tom and Dr. Robotnik was also really well crafted. It felt very intelligently written, much better than the way I just set that up. And of course, I also really like the beginning and the end credits scene. We'll get to that soon. Now, I'm trying really hard not to spoil anything here, but there's a good chance that if you haven't seen the movie yet, you might start to put some pieces together. So if you haven't seen the movie and don't want to be spoiled, it's best not to watch any further. Are we clear? Yes, I already gave this warning before, but some people just don't listen. I thought the final climax was kinda tame and one of the weakest parts of the whole movie. But that mid-credit scene, I don't think I was ever that happy to see that character show up, and I wasn't alone as everyone left in the theater was just as happy as I was. That part sets up a potential sequel, and it looks like we might just get it. The thing is, a sequel would be great, but from what they've put in the movies, they could have a trilogy on their hands. The blueprints are there, and it wouldn't feel like it just came out of nowhere or wasn't put in purely for fan service. This is just me speculating, but we know at least one big thing to expect in a sequel: how they treat the character that showed up. But how does that make for a trilogy? Well, the best trilogies are the ones that usually have big connections to the first movie without retreading old grounds. They usually tie up loose ends while still expanding the universe. And that's what makes this so good! The people chasing Sonic at the beginning! Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about! How could that not be the third movie? The setup is right there! It's all yours and it's easy to use! Now allow me to speculate for a bit. Let's say the second movie involves you-know-who and, well, I don't want Robotnik to be back yet. I want him in the movie, but not being able to confront our heroes face to face. Instead, how about he creates Metal Sonic while he is either still returning or perhaps building an army? In video games, we love seeing our favorite enemies and villains return, but in movies? That might get a bit repetitive. That's why I'm okay with Eggman being behind the scenes pulling the strings, making us want to see him in full force for a third movie. To have him feel like his presence is there and anticipating a full-blown return for the third and final confrontation at the end of a trilogy. Then what could the third movie be about? Oh, you know, something that involves what was chasing Sonic at the start, and maybe we could have some changes and adapt the plot of Sonic Adventure 1? Come on, you can't tell me that wouldn't be amazing. I thought I saw something that either looked like a Chaos Emerald or the Master Emerald on the map that Sonic had in the movie. Now do you see what I'm getting at? Imagine they were chasing Sonic because his power was linked to the Master Emerald, and maybe it would reawaken Chaos, but the lone survivor is actually trying to make sure the sins of the past aren't repeated. But there's confrontation when Sonic recognizes he belongs to the clan that attacked Longclaw. Then you have Eggman telling lies about Sonic to him because he's that gullible. I tried not to spoil things, but there's no way I could without speculating. Also, it wouldn't need to involve Big, Amy, and Gamma. We don't need to rush too many characters at once. They need their time to develop properly. About 2 at a time is perfectly fine. Now, would I be upset if they didn't use this outline? No, I'm just saying it would be a shame to see such potential go to waste. I'm very curious and excited to see what they are going to do, even if it's not what I've brought up. That said, the blueprint for a trilogy is there, and if they take their time and do things right, we could have some amazing sequels on our hands. And this is just my little take, but I don't want them to bring Shadow in yet, as he's one of the only few characters that have an actual backstory, and it helps give his character depth, sympathy, and an understanding of his motivation. His background is clearly tied to his character, and it's hard to separate him from that. If they were to bring him into the movies, I'd be okay with giving him a new background story, as long as it doesn't involve cloning or any of the evil doppelganger stuff. That's what helped me like him in the first place, was because he didn't have that cliched origin story. Well, that's just me and my thoughts. Now it's time for me to read yours. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Did you like it? Did you have some problems? And what would you like to see in the sequels? Let me know down below, and I'll see you in another video soon. Later, everyone!